Alright, I got Tails design done, and I need to actually record this video. The problem is I don't really have a script, because scripting is really annoying. It takes way too much time, and it's been a while since the last video, and I really don't want to have big time gaps, so let's get on this. And also, if you hear a buzzing in the background, that's an air conditioner down the hall. I have my door shut. Hopefully you can't hear it, but if I don't, the whole house is going to be very, very warm. Today, I'll be redesigning Tails the Fox in my Sonic the Hedgehog AU. In the main series, Tails is the inventor, tinkerer type in Sonic's main, friend group, I suppose. He also acts as the Tornado's pilot. And for this AU, all that's going to be the same. All that's the same. However, it was kind of hard to figure out his character, because this AU mostly takes place in the classic era, or at least the start of Sonic and his friends' careers. So pretty much we'll be looking at a pre-Sonic adventure Tails. So most of this version, he's probably going to slowly turn into the inventor we know. He's already pretty smart. He already more or less knows how to fly the tornado. Sonic, maybe you've taught him at some point. I'll have to still work out the kinks. But trying to figure out his backstory has been kind of the most difficult part, because there's just so many. Now, in the games, we've kind of settled on the Japanese origin, with him meeting Sonic on West Side Island, and he was bullied, and then he started following him around, and then Sonic's like, yeah, okay, we could be friends and everything, and then Sonic 2 happens. However, if you look at the US, it was we have a couple origins. We have him, he always knew Sonic even when he was a cub, and I think if I remember correctly, he invented the spin dash, and then Sonic learned it from Tails or something like that. And then in the Archie comics, he was sort of the adopted brother of Sonic, which I like. I think I'm going to more or less adapt that into my AU. I just have to again work out the kinks, but I think I will be going with that. And of course, we have the Fleetway stuff, and that's that's a whole other can of worms that I will not be touching this AU. I'll be mostly adapting the US manual for Sonic 2 and doing that origin for him. He's definitely going to be sort of an adoptive brother for Sonic. I always like that. Many people did that in their other stories and in other pieces of media. And I think I'm just going to do that with mine. It just makes sense and it works, and I think really going to that kind of gives Sonic this more of a connection, not him just being just a complete other loner, which I like that about Sonic sometimes, but in this version it won't work as much, but you'll see what I mean once I eventually start writing and doing art of this AU more. In the Freedom Fighter group, though, the Freedom Fighters will be in this: Sally, Antoine, Bunny Rabbit. Tails will be the inventor for the team. However, he will be taking the role from Rotor from Saddam and Archie. I don't hate Rotor. He's a perfectly fine character. I like him, especially in Archie. They did a good job with him. However, in the context of this AU, I don't really know where to put him in here. He just kind of works being kind of not there. His role has already been taken by Tails, and I prefer when doing adaptations to not have a large amount of characters, batch of characters to fit into the story and get characterization. I might as well take a role to a more important character and give it to him, instead of just again, nothing against Rotor, a character that role has been outdated in the team he's going to be a part of, and considering this roster. If it was the Freedom Fighters were separate from the other Sonic cast completely, I'd be fine having Rotor here. But since in the context of this story, they're more integral with this take of Sonic, Tails, and Amy. Now, they were still in Archie and Saddam, but that was in the context of Tails is characterized as just the kid character, at least in the West, in like a lot of American and UK media. He's Sonic's little brother kid character. In this, we're going with the more game Japanese style, where Tails is the smart, intelligent inventor type. So that role has to be taken, and having two at the same time is fine, but it's also a bit too much in a story where I already have a lot of characters I need to adapt with Sonic, Tails, Sally, Antoine, Bunny, Knuckles, Eggman, the Chaotix, and even more. Yeah, I have to start cutting down on some characters, and the first one to go on the chopping block, yeah, it's going to have to be Rotor. So Tails will be taking over Rotor's position and role. And with that, I think what I'm going to be doing with Tails, since he's going to still be the inventor, I think he's going to be more or less amateur at it. Like, if I remember correctly, in most Sonic media, he's still kind of like pretty confident in his abilities, and for good reason. He's just kind of more like him being more braver and mature to not be reliant on Sonic all the time is more of his arc throughout the series, like Sonic Adventure onward. So I think with this, since it's pre-adventure, it's him getting more confident in his prowess in inventing and technology and science and all that stuff. He's going to become like, at the start, maybe he's not as good at it. Maybe he could just like, his machines constantly like fail in like various moments, or his repairs only work for a short time and they don't work, but eventually over time he's going to get better and better at it until he eventually, like, I won't spoil anything, but has stuff that like helps pretty much save the world, save the day, and like stop Robotnik or whatever. And then he like finally gets really confident in his abilities. Maybe he's not confident to be like fighting Robotnik one-on-one without Sonic or the others, but I think that could like really work as for a young classic Tails story, which actually, now I think about it, I'm not sure if any of the other stuff has done before, like other like comics that take place in this era. I'm probably wrong. I haven't read up on the like classic IDW Sonic comics. I don't know, I haven't catch up with IDW, I'm gonna be honest. I really need to, it's a problem. With this AU, I'm giving the Mobians clothes, especially the male ones. I mean, the females have clothes, but the males don't. In this one, they do. And with that, I have to think about outfits. And Tails, honestly, wasn't really that difficult. At first, I kind of wanted to give him just pants, and that was like one thing with one early design, but I hated that design for very obvious reasons. God, it looks so bad. So, I redid it, and I decided to go with a more pilot-esque outfit. Kind of has like the sort of like pilot jacket. He has like black like pants. He has like a strap around that kind of like gives off more like inventory stuff. Like I imagine he has like stuff attached to it, or like not attached, more like cinched, which I guess is attached, but you know what I mean. Kind of made it a bit baggy. Maybe it's like it's a bit too big on him, which I kind of imagine is a thing with a lot of the characters in New Genesis, is that they have a lot of baggy clothes because they kind of like snag some that they found in like old warehouses and such around South Island, which I will eventually get to talk about in another video. Perhaps the next one I can discuss my version of South Island, but nevertheless. I also want to emphasize the color blue. This Tails doesn't have any color red. I am a fan of the blue shoes and the more blue, cooler color scheme. I like I don't know. I always prefer it. It looks a lot nicer. I know some people don't like it because in lore, the red shoes are meant to like look like Sonic's on purpose, as it was Tails trying to emulate Sonic. But honestly, I never really got that from Tails' shoes, considering that a lot of other characters have similar shoes. I don't know. I just never saw that. It was more of like a recent thing I learned with this whole debate of should we go with the red shoes, the blue shoes on like online with Sonic fans. So personally, I don't really care. So I made them blue. I originally wanted to make them red though, but the more I thought about it, I decided to go and make it blue because it gives like less colors and it looks a lot nicer in turn. And with that, I was able to finally figure out how I've wanted my version of Tails to be. It's far from the most unique or surprising take on Tails, but I don't know. I think this is how I always imagined Tails to be. Even when I was a kid, I always kind of wanted him to have like sort of like this pilot sort of like look and jacket. Like I used to play with like my Legos and made my own like Tails and Sonic and stuff like that, like other Sonic characters out of Lego. And I had like always would give like this sort of like pilot outfit to Tails for the minifigure base, mostly because I didn't really have a proper like plain orange like minifigure torso. I had this like, I guess sort of like this coat I got from like some Polar Explorer type outfit, and I would use that for my Tails like custom minifigure, and I always kind of got used to it and really liked how it looked. And so whenever I want to think of Tails having clothes, I don't think of like a doctor scientist type coat. I just think like this like pilot sort of outfit, because I also imagine Tails in my AU as well, sort of like into like airplanes and stuff like that, which, I mean, of course, that makes perfect sense. So, with that, I have my version of Tails complete. I hope you guys liked the video, and I am planning to do more designs. I just actually have to draw them out now, but I think you guys may enjoy it. I hope you guys like and subscribe, and also comment if you have anything to say. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.